Okay, hi. We're going to teach Michelle how to turn a glide cycle around if it was in a tight corner. And for normies, that's pretty easy, of course, as you've seen on the video, make a turn. But for an amputee, you don't have the two legs to stand on. So what we do is we take the parking brake off on the back wheel, put the hand brake on the right wheel. In other words, take the parking brake off on the front wheel and hold it physically with your hand. We don't want to trust the parking brake when we're doing operations. Then triangulate the bike just like you would as a standing position and simply scoot the wheel to the right or to the side that's open. Then we turn the bike around a little at a time. How's that look, Michelle? Possible?
I think so.
Great. Well, we'll try it. And to do this safely, on Michelle's first time, we'd like to introduce Phil as another adaptive sport therapist. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
To help out. And Phil will just be there in case Michelle has a problem.
Okay.
So let's give it a shot, Michelle. Right brake off, left brake manually held down.
Okay.
And then try to just scoot your front wheel around.
Okay.
Then bring, like a dance, instead of walking your foot over, bring it over just like in your dance when you moved it a few inches at a time. Good. Good. Keep right on going. Let's do a 360.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I come out of the seat a little bit, so I kind of got to get back in it.
Okay. It's going to take a little practice. This is your first time.
Yep.
Generally, it's a good idea to do this toward the involved side with an amputee. It's a little easier to work than going the other direction. But an experienced amputee could do whatever they feel like. A lot of work?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Eventually it'll get easier.
There we go.
I like the way Michelle is remembering to operate her brakes. Some clients need a lot of reminders, but as an adaptive therapist, it's your responsibility to make sure it's being done right.
It's getting a little smoother to the toward
wonderful.
the end there.
Well, Michelle, this is very good. Great, Michelle, you've had a wonderful session so far, and normally I would call this the first session, but you're doing so well, I'd say let's go ahead and go a little further. I am making a judgment call, as you will as an adaptive therapist, that Michelle's not going to need a spotter very long. Perhaps we can get Phil to go for a little run with us and not doing anything. Will you have the confidence to run without a spotter?
I think so. And if I keep my turn to the left for now.
Okay. A lot of your clients are going to find that they have a trouble turning one side or the other. It's been my experience that it's not always the involved side. Whatever they want, let them do on the first or second training session. But before you release them to complete independence out on their own without you, do a practice session where we do turns only to the involved side. So I think right now we'll practice some turns together and I'll run with you. And I think Phil could help. So there's some real good ground up here to do some turns on. Let's head down.
You want me to follow you?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, Phil, you got her?
Got her.
And don't worry about the wind anymore, baby. Now the key to Michelle making turns to the side she's afraid of is to get a little practice. So we immediately went into the turn to the side that she's afraid of. And I told her the key elements are to move your foot to the inside of the bike, to the inside of the turn. And you'll see she's doing that now. Her foot is well to the right side of the tires and the center line of the bike. The second and most important part is to keep moving your foot the whole time and putting power in through the turn. And I'm going to have to go remind her again. Michelle, keep going and keep your leg going the whole time in that turn.
Okay.
It never stops. Let's tighten your turn up. You can do a much tighter turn than you did there. That's it. Right like this. Right around the canal. That's it. You got it? Good. Keep your foot moving. Move your foot. Okay. Is that one foot has to do the duty of two? Great. Let's go for the lunge forward when you're going up.
Okay.
Good, it's natural. Lunging forward, lunging forward, lunging forward, lunging forward. Okay, let's stop.
All right.
Michelle, how did it feel to run to your scared side?
Well, not too bad. It was getting easier.
Great, a little bit of practice is really important.
Yeah.
When we release you to functional independence, your first release is to practice. Take it easy, bring a spotter with you, and enjoy. The second thing we learned there real quickly is how to lunge forward with each step when you need to be aggressive and climb a hill. So speaking of climbing a hill, let's go have a hill climbing lesson.
Okay.
All right, Michelle, we're about to go down and do some hill training, and to do that we're going to go down a little hill. Now whenever you're riding a glide cycle, just like coasting, we put our feet up and have a nice relaxing coast by using the foot peg. The foot peg is very important because it triangulates the glide cycle and makes it a stiff, rigid frame, without which, without your foot, you can see that it's pretty bouncy. That bounce can give you a shock if you're going down a hill and then up a driveway apron or any other bump that you hit. So whenever you hit a bump or anticipate it, you run your leg, put it up, hit the bump, and then get back into running your leg.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So we always triangulate, we call it bracing. Bracing is really important when you hit a bump. Let's take off and ride down the hill. Let's go ahead and stop.
Okay.
This little lesson is about using environmental aids to stop. Michelle did a very good job by pulling up against the wall right where her crutches were to be able to use the wall to leave her glide cycle, grab her crutches, and go receive her car and get ready to put the glide cycle away and go home. Always try to teach your clients to think ahead for where they would like to stop and get off their glide cycle. You can use a tree, a car, a fence, another person to help, and it's also possible just to throw it on the grass somewhere. But in this case, Michelle has used the wall, and I think it's pretty easy for you to dismount.
That's
I
right.
like Michelle has got her brakes on. I don't have to remind her.
There we go.
Excellent. Nice
Easy.
job.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks.
You bet. Good, we're good.